Hey, welcome in. It is a Feedback Friday. This is Unemployed with Mike Schaefer on the I-80 Club Podcast Network. Do you refer to yourself as a podcast network, Jack? Jack Mitchell, of course, the guest on Feedback Fridays.
I like to say a media empire normally. That's the preferred nomenclature. No, I don't say we say the I-80 Club usually.
Okay. Right.
Now formerly known as I-80 Media LLC, not to brag.
But now just I-80 Club for those that are aware. What games are you going to be watching while we are?
As you can tell, I'm deciding right now. Would you like to advise me?
Yeah, I would love to. I could not because of reasons. I do not have a TV yet set up in this office, so I will just be living through your reactions to whatever.
Over here, I have my wall display. Okay, and then over there, I've got my that one. So it looks like Michigan, Ohio State's got to be one of them.
Yeah. Well, I think there's not that many. So I think right now you're.
Oh yeah, there's fewer games now, aren't there? Because
there's only two. There's only two games going on right now. Now you will pick up Missouri State, Louisiana Tech, and then if we are, we'll go into the noon hour. You'll get Kentucky, Florida. But yeah, yesterday. I don't think people understood how great yesterday was from a wall-to-wall basketball from 10 a.m. on day. You're losing that now. Now we're going to get much more of a 11 o'clock start focus, couple games at a time. So that was yesterday was rare, and I just felt like people didn't appreciate that.
I already miss it. I totally agree with you. In fact, it's really been since. I guess it was just Wednesday and Thursday, but you had pretty much major conference tournaments going on 11 to 11. Both days. These are underrated days of the sports calendar.
Oh, no doubt. I have long been a proponent that conference tournament week is not. It doesn't get enough appreciation for what it delivers in terms of content and drama and just sort of fun things to have on your television. And Jack, I'm sure you're aware of this, but a few years ago went out to Vegas during conference tournament week, in which I then managed to watch games in the West Coast Conference Championship with Gonzaga and St. Mary's.
Live?
You went
there?
Yeah, really? I went to them. I was at the Orleans.
I vaguely remember that now. Yes.
Yeah, I went to the Thomas and Mack Center where UNLV played, and I watched Tim Miles, San Jose State, beat Nevada in a conference tournament game. I watched New Mexico play somebody else there. And then at T-Mobile Arena, you could see the Pac-12 where I had a friend that was heckling the hell out of Tad Boyle for some reason. He just wanted to yell at Tad. And then I watched Braxton Mia when he was playing with Washington before he would eventually end up at Nebraska.
A lot of basketball games you don't care about. Now, I'm assuming you wagered on them to make them a little more interesting, but
there's a wagering, but it's also this. Like, going to Gonzaga and St. Mary's is an awesome opportunity to
go into one game,
like a really cool
group. Yeah.
And it's a cool sort of setup there with the arena, and Gonzaga just killed them, and so that the atmosphere there was really festive. The rest of it was like, okay, I need a break from losing money at the tables, so what can I do that costs me nothing? You're going to these games I'm pretty sure we paid $6 to go watch Colorado, Washington. And could we have overpaid to watch Colorado, Washington? Quite possible. But more than won the $6 back with random bets on this game that, we went and watched. So it was, I recommend it. You have your own conference tournament week experience where you and your son were in Chicago as Nebraska made a charge.
It was fun. In fact, tickets were so cheap to Chicago from Lincoln. For about a 4-hour period, I strongly considered flying down there today.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I guess I would have had to take this show off, but
I will say in the future, now that Nebraska is a unquestioned basketball power, I am interested in doing more with the Big Ten tournament. And yet at the same time, that the turnaround, and we're experiencing this.
Yes.
That the turnaround, without knowing where your team is going to play, the logistics of living in the middle of the country with a medium to small airport that doesn't have a whole lot of reach to places, And then just the general tournament sites this year have made it more difficult to be like prepped for what to be able to do here when we find out on Sunday late afternoon, whichever, when we find out the destination of Nebraska. So it's, I wouldn't want to be driving back from Chicago or having to do that all while celebrating a Big Ten title, I suppose. Maybe I would be.
Honestly, it would be a really interesting discussion. There are all these new things that we are being involved in. For instance, the depth of knowledge that I now have that I did not have on the location process for the first round games. I didn't know how any of that worked. I never cared to, really. The being interested in when they bring out the top 16, right? A few weeks before the season ends. And then this, for those, a Creighton fan, you've had success, Creighton. I'm sure you're not listening to this podcast, but if you do, do you go to the conference tournament and the NCAA tournament in the same week? Obviously, you've got a lot of money if you're doing these things, but
you know as well as I do, having experienced just a little bit with your former broadcast partner and friend John Bishop, and I'm going through it now with Connor Happer, and I've noticed it a lot more. The Big East people love the Big East tournament.
Oh, that's
right. It is the closest comparison anyone's ever seen in college sports to the Big Ten's love of the Rose Bowl.
Yes.
It is. I was trying to explain to Happer that maybe the biggest welcome to Omaha moment I've had so far is that there's people who really care about the Big East tournament, and they just happen to, be Creighton fans, I guess, or Creighton media members, because this was never a topic in Lincoln. Nobody ever talked about the Big East tournament other than, hey, we need a fourth game to put in the quad box. I guess let's put the Big East tournament on there.
What is the sunset of the San Gabriel Mountains over the San Gabriel Mountains of the Big East tournament? It's just about Madison Square Garden, right?
Yeah, I think it's you walk outside of Madison Square Garden and you see a street vendor selling street meat. I think that would be the aesthetic sort of visual that you kind of look for there. So I think that's a real possibility.
Here's the under, and I would assume this is not unique of the Big Ten tournament. It's just the only one I've been to. But there's something, I don't know, interesting and fun about having teams or fans of, well, when I was doing it, of 14, but really about 8 or 10 teams in the same area, in the same town, everyone wearing their gear. I don't know. It's like the United Nations. There's something cool about it. Seeing all the different ones and how they all look. And I don't know, that was, to me, that in itself was a really unique thing about them. And then you have weird alliances with some of them because of that season, last night, I was a big Northwestern fan. I would have been there sitting with the Northwestern wearing my Pat Fitzgerald jersey. Should have busted that out. I don't get many opportunities. I should have busted that out. Yeah.
That's a good segue for this because I was I definitely would have accepted playing Northwestern on their fourth game in 4 days and been completely happy with how that would have went for Nebraska. And yet at the same time, and I'm curious how you feel about this as well. I don't think any result today helps or hurts Nebraska expressly. I think everything's largely done. I don't think they can jump a seed line even if they win the Big Ten. I don't think it matters if they were to add wins against Purdue, Michigan State, and Michigan, that it would do anything for their resume other than it would look really freaking awesome going into the NCAA tournament. So because of that, what I wanted out of this is if they were likely to play Purdue, and they were, I love that it's a chance for them to rectify something that happened earlier in the season, a game that I think over there, and it's not like they would outwardly say this, but I feel like Nebraska thinks that was one of their worst performances of the year. UCLA excluded, and maybe Iowa is up there ahead of it too at Iowa. But that was for a team that at that time was 21-2 when they played Purdue.
Yep.
That was as discombobulated and awkward looking as Nebraska had played all year for much of that first half. And even really the first, I would say 25 to 30 minutes of the game. And then Nebraska flipped it and they locked in and they were great. And I was going back through that box score, Jack, and I don't remember Rink Mast having as good of a game as he did against Purdue, but he had a very good game. He had 18 points, 4 of them off of, 4 3-pointers, so 12 points out of that. He had the 7 assists and 6 rebounds isn't great. But the thing that everybody sort of remembers is he didn't make the free throw on the potential, and one. And it's a game where, maybe you can steal it, and Nebraska stole some games this year, whatever. But I just think it's an opportunity going into the NCAA tournament that you could rectify a wrong, compare yourself up against a team that's a 3, 4, 5 seed caliber in Purdue, and just kind of have a nice opportunity to play somebody good before this tournament, whether you win or lose. And so I feel good about the Purdue matchup today. Like, it does not bother me. I'm not like, oh my God, Oscar Clough again. And, Trace Kaufman-Wren. And there's Braden Smith and his stupid throw my head back if anybody touches me so I can try to get a foul with my really dumb high socks. That guy.
So many first of all, complete aside. You remember when Nebraska played them in Braden Smith's freshman or sophomore year in Lincoln, the one where there was the phantom foul call at the very end?
Yeah.
Underrated thing about the game, Emmanuel Banamel gave young Braden Smith absolutely fits. Banamel's defense. Go back, and nobody's going to go back and watch that game. But if you go back and watch that game, you'll see it. Remember, Nebraska actually did some pressing in that game, and that was anyway. That's neither here nor there. I don't know. Purdue, for some reason, for me, Mike, carries a level of mystique that I'm intimidated by their name, by just the thought of playing them for some reason. I will admit that with Purdue, more so than Michigan or Illinois, or I don't know what it is. I think it's for so long they had these just superhuman big guys.
Sure. Still do.
And they still have more guys. Here's the thing. They still have more guys on that team who have been recognizable, very good college basketball players for an extended period of time than any other Big Ten team. Because Braden Smith and Lawyer have been around, and Kaufman-Wren, they've all been around forever.
Yep.
And it's just so, all the guys on these other teams are new or transfers or freshmen, or most of them are. And so I think that's part of it. So I didn't want to play Purdue because, I would have rather gotten a win. I do still think, I agree generally that there's not a lot of room to move up and down, but I think there is a little. And I especially think so when you're having head-to-head comparisons between all the teams that are bunched up. And it just so happens, if you believe bracket matrix, you've got Illinois, Michigan State, and Nebraska, 3 out of 4 teams in a row on the bracket lines. And I think in that scenario, when there are potential head-to-head matchups, specifically Nebraska-Purdue, I think Purdue beating Nebraska, I think probably puts Purdue ahead of Nebraska in the seed lines. I don't know that for sure. There's no way of knowing that for sure.
I just think that erases the fact that prior to this, Purdue lost to Ohio State. They lost to Wisconsin. They lost to Michigan State. They have all of these losses. The 2 head-to-heads against Nebraska supersede that.
Maybe. But here's the reason I say it, though. If you look at where bracket matrix is, they've got now Purdue actually is below Gonzaga, but Nebraska's the 2nd 3 and Purdue's the 4th 3. Gonzaga's in between them. But and this is the best tool I have to do this, but is looking at the bracket matrix average. But Nebraska's a 3.03, Purdue's a 3.21. That's a pretty small distance. I just feel like enough, if that's really where it is, if it's really that close, I feel like they might be at a point where one game would be enough to flip one mind. That I think they might be that close. And so it could matter. I don't know for sure that it will. And I don't know for sure that I think Nebraska's ahead of them right now, but I don't know that for sure either. But there's certainly a chance. Okay. I think there's certainly a chance for that to happen. And I also think while I do think if they win the championship of the tournament, let's see who they would have to pass. I mean, I think they would maybe have a shot at passing Michigan State, especially if they beat Michigan State.
Mm-hmm.
And at 2-0, they would also probably have to pass Iowa State or Illinois, though, and that might be hard to get to the 2 line depending on what Illinois does today. I agree. They probably don't move up to a 2. But on the other hand, as you know, as from watching with me very closely, the potential destinations for Nebraska, I am oddly interested in that in a way that probably the average fan is not. And so, like, one movement, getting ahead of Purdue or behind Purdue, while normally wouldn't make a difference, it could make a huge difference in terms of whether they go to Oklahoma City or not. So that's why I was cheering for Purdue to lose.
Yeah, I get that. I think the Kansas element matters more for Oklahoma City than Purdue does.
Well, now that Iowa State won, you're probably right, but that happened that same day, and so I was still getting that factored in too. But you're probably right. Like, you don't want Purdue to pass Iowa State, because if Purdue passes Iowa State, they take their St. Louis spot, and then Iowa State goes down to Oklahoma City. Like, that's
and I don't see how they're going to do that.
I don't think so anymore with Iowa State winning that game. Yeah. But if Purdue would go on a run to the championship, who knows?
I just don't think that going back on this, I've talked about it a couple times now. Like, Illinois won the Big Ten a couple years ago, and they were a 3 seed when they won the Big Ten. They were the number 12 team overall. They remained the 3 seed. They never moved up. They didn't really go anywhere with it. And I believe that the bracket, basically today, I think the bracket is largely laid out for what the committee wants to do. And so I just don't think they're going to bump teams a whole lot of lines because of these games where sometimes it's a question of how much teams even care.
You very well could be right.
There's not like nobody playing today in the Big Ten is playing for their life in the tournament.
You very well may be right. And there may be no benefit, but I also I feel like the benefits of playing them are also fairly marginal too. The things you mentioned. Well, they maybe exist. I think both of them are. And so, like, any advantage I can have with the better seating, with the location, I'm going to pull for.
Sure.
And I think Nebraska would have had a better chance of beating Northwestern than Purdue. And that matters to me in this case. That does matter.
Definitely have a better chance of beating Northwestern playing their 4th game in 4 days as an already, less than team of Purdue. At least you get Purdue having played a game the day before, which, some people would regard as, oh no, they have momentum, or other people would be like, well, you have a little bit of a rest advantage.
Right.
I just think if Nebraska needs to, more than anything, what I want out of this game, win, lose, or draw, is I would love to see Nebraska figure out how to start a basketball game like they used to when they won 20 straight games. Because there was a stretch there where the ball would get tipped and Rink would lose the tip and Nebraska would get a defensive stop and then they would go score. And then the other team would come back down and probably turn it over, and then Nebraska would go score. And then the other team would come back down and probably miss a shot, and then Nebraska would go score. And suddenly it's either 7-0, 8-0, or, there's times where it'd be like 14-2. And these teams never really got the chance to sort of like settle into a game. Nebraska just made them uncomfortable right off the bat. I mean, go look at that start against Illinois where it's just utter blitzkrieg. I mean, Illinois needed a 14-0 run near the end of half to basically get that back to being a game again. And so I think one of the great things about this Nebraska basketball team is they have that ability to go on those extended runs. One of the things that they did really well early in the season is they started games relatively quick. One of the things that seems to have been happening here in the last handful of games, it feels like it takes them to the under 12 before it's like they figure out, okay, this is what we used to do. This is how we want to get going. Now, teams throw different wrinkles at you. They defend Price Sanford differently. You're not getting the easy baskets that maybe you were before. Frager is coming off the bench, so he's not playing in those first 8 minutes. So if you're not getting into the lane, that presents a problem. But all of that said, I think Nebraska has the ability to challenge Purdue offensively. I don't think Purdue's defense is that great. I think if you can do that and you can manage on the boards, there's a great chance to be able to go in and win this game here on Friday. And I've said this before too. I feel like it goes one of two ways for Nebraska. Either they lose tonight and they're done. We're talking about the tournament, or they win tonight, and I think they will win on Saturday regardless of opponent and will be playing in the Big Ten championship game. I think it's one of two outcomes.
Which I can't remember. Are you one of the people that actually do not? No, you were saying you want them to go ahead and get a banner. I have heard a few people, and I probably was listening to one of your shows and listening to a mix of things, and I get everything mixed up. But I have heard some people who are, I mean, pretty close to cheering against them getting to something.
Yeah, I never do that in any circumstance.
I wouldn't either.
Ever.
I just can't.
My team could get the number 1 draft pick and I'd be rooting. I don't like losing.
Yeah,
I'm never going to be a tank guy. I don't think the rest thing is that big of a deal. If they end up playing 3 games and they win a Big Ten title and they have to turn around and play Hawaii and Oklahoma City on Thursday, everyone's going to be jacked out of their damn minds for it.
Yep.
And so Nebraska basketball included. And if they get to hang multiple banners from this season, and if we have Kent Pavelka calls of them winning a Big Ten title on a DeMarcus Lawrence game-winning 3-pointer, yeah, I'll sign me up on this. Like I get goosebumps thinking about the good things that could happen. I don't need to sit around and be like, well, they get an extra 2 days of rest. It could really help them out. No.
All the times that you've watched the selection show and they have the team who just won the last conference tournament game with the net around their neck, seeing where they're going. I didn't ever think that would, and it may still not be, but I didn't ever think that would be a possibility for me to watch. 2
years ago, when they're up by like 11 against Illinois early in the second half, maybe you were at this. I feel like you went up to Minneapolis that year.
No, not that year. No,
I knew a lot of people that went, and I was so jealous because the atmosphere looked amazing, especially when Casey just single-handedly took Mike Woodson to the woodshed. But it was, I allowed myself to dream because Purdue had gotten taken out by Wisconsin in the game before, and it's like, oh, I like Nebraska in this matchup against Wisconsin. They're going to be Big Ten champs. This is going to be amazing. And then, of course, Terrence Shannon started getting downhill. The officials started getting involved.
Oh, God.
Coleman Hawkins was annoying with his stupid punchable face.
Yes.
So we don't have to dwell on that. But I like how things are set up for tonight. I think Nebraska's going to come out and play well. I'm on record saying that they're going to make it to the championship game. Now, I also think they're going to lose to Michigan, but we'll worry about that when they get there. So I am very, very excited for tonight. And if it doesn't go Nebraska's way, whatever, you flush it. And then the real thing is next Thursday or Friday, depending on what the location is. And you and I will have plenty of time to discuss all of that, when it comes up. But it's just wild, like that we're this close to it. We're 3 days away from knowing something that we've been thinking about since December. Like I thought they were a tournament team coming into the year, but it wasn't until December where it's like, they might not be like a 10 seed. Like this team could be like a 5. It could be a 6. Turns out it's going to be a 3, and it's going to be awesome.
Yeah. It is crazy. And it's 2 days, Mike, not even 3 days. It's like 48 hours and change, 55 hours away till the selection show.
I got a lot of stuff in those 55 hours. That's my problem.
No kidding. I wish I felt as good as you do about today. I don't know. Do you know though what would be so what would put the cherry on top of everything that's happening right now is if Nebraska looked really good again tonight. If they
that's what I mean.
Man, if they did, I know.
There's way more good than bad that's playing in this game. Like you're getting a good team. If you look good tonight, if you get a win, whether it's as a fan, whether it's as a player, whatever it is, the confidence that you'll feel
the
about
upside of a win is higher than the downside of a loss. There's no doubt about
100%.
that. I think, unless it would change where they're going. But for what they care, they don't care about that as much either as I do. But if we could just get a chance to see them really. They haven't had that many opportunities to play a higher level team since they last lost to Purdue, right? I guess UCLA
is the best team that they've faced since losing to Purdue.
We didn't even really think about UCLA that way. We should have, but they've not had it. And you're right. The last time we saw them it was the end of that Purdue game, which I've still never seen, by the way. And it was, their offense was humming then at the end of that game. Like there's just this sense about this team that I have, and I don't know. I hope it's not true. I don't know that it's true. It's probably paranoia in part, but it's just that they're never going to be able to reach the peak that they played at the highest points of the year this year again. And man, if I could see it again against a good team, and they played well. In the games they blew out Maryland and Penn State. They looked good, but that didn't do it for me to alleviate that fear. And man, I would love to if I could. At times they did it against Iowa too. I think in the last Iowa game. But man, if I could see that against Purdue, I would be back in that mode. That like thinking it's not assuming it's gone, obviously, because it would have happened. And part of that is exactly what you said, is the way that they start off the game, because so many of these games. And I wanted to ask you the question on the starts, because I heard you talking about this with Happer this morning too. And I think you're exactly right. That's one thing that if they could do tonight, man, it would be great in multiple ways, obviously. But I was just trying to think back to those games. You mentioned the Illinois game. That at Illinois, there was the Ohio State game. People might forget. Nebraska got way up. I remember Cale Jacobson hit a 3, or somebody got a 4-point play, and it put us up by like 16 in that game in the first half. What other ones? The Michigan game. There was a stretch there where it was happening most of the time
against every night,
against very good teams, and it was.
And then Mike Sauter and I talked about it on a Nebraska Ball Tuesday ahead of the Purdue game, and it hasn't happened since.
And I'm just trying to think what felt like. What's different about the team now than is then? Like, what do their slow starts look like? Why are they? The things I can come up with are, it looks like, again, I think the teams have figured them out a little bit more in the Big Ten as the year's gone on. I think they're turning the ball over more, and I think that's part of. I think turnovers have happened a lot in those early points. Against UCLA, there were tons of them. Against in the Iowa loss, there were tons of them early. There were a lot of turnovers, and they're just not hitting. They're not as hot from 3 as they.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's just the simplest thing. Like, they previously were a team that seemed to shoot like right around 50 or better than 50% in the first half, and now it feels like they've cooled off in that regard. I think there's other factors in here. We haven't seen. The last time they absolutely were phenomenal in the first half of a game or started really with a heater was the last great Jamarcus Lawrence game we had this season, which was out at Michigan. So, some of it is that. Some of it is I don't think that they have, as they start the game, guys who create their own shot easily enough that you can get like an immediate, run to the hole or an opportunity to get, a blow by or just a pull up jumper from Jamarcus Lawrence. Like, these aren't necessarily happening because they don't either have the skill set to do it or teams have gotten better at taking it away. I think that they have the ability to get on a fast start if they can. Like, I think sometimes for Nebraska, it's you knock down like that first 3-pointer and it's just like it could turn things right off the bat. And there's other times where it's like it takes them the first 5-6 shots before they find pay dirt. So I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's going to change in this arena or with Purdue. I just think if they can figure out how to start fast and get Purdue on their heels a little bit, because the part of this game that I think is the most uncomfortable for Nebraska is if you let Purdue start fast and they get to dictate stuff and they just get to kind of sit on top of you with Oscar Clough and with Trey Kaufman-Wren and you're playing on their terms and they're playing physical bully ball with volleyball player Braden Smith. I mean, it is that's a tough spot to be. And so I think if you're Nebraska and you can make Purdue uncomfortable, if your defense is hounding them early, if Braden Smith is forced to do his fake head back throw to try to get to the free throw line or whatever it is, I think that's a lot of it. Like, don't let them get comfortable. That so much of those fast starts are teams haven't been able to get comfortable and find easy baskets or whatever it is.
Yeah. It's been about the defense. Yeah.
You're right.
I mean, you're right.
With everything with this team, it always feels like the defense spurs everything else that's good about it. And so I think,
and that I'm confident they can still do. Actually,
yeah, I agree.
That's the funny thing. Like, of all the things I mentioned, that's the one that I'm most confident is still in their bag. It's not been as consistent, but I do think they can do it. And they, even when they lost to Iowa, the game at Iowa, the defense was not a problem.
The defense was, Iowa shot 33%. That was one of those things that came out of that game where I don't think people realized that Nebraska's defense outplayed the hell out of Iowa in that game, because we had the one guy, Sean Morris, wouldn't shut the fuck up about Bennett Sturtz and his holding in that whole game. Meanwhile, Iowa's shooting 33%. just throwing literal rocks up there. Not as bad as the shot that they took against Ohio State with 7 seconds left to hit the top of the backboard. But in that same vein, you'd never know it because Sean Morris wouldn't tell you about how Nebraska's defense was playing. Instead, we just had to hear about Bennett Sturt's heroic effort while he's tugging Bryce Sanford's jersey all over the damn court. Thanks, Sean.
We need Sean.
Let me know what game we're watching.
We need Sean and Sipple to get in a room and then just average each other out to have the take on Bennett Sturtz.
I was texting with Sipple yesterday because I heard him on a media appearance, and he was talking about how this is the most college basketball that he's watched, and he claims it's not because Nebraska is good, and I just don't know that I believe that. He gave his reasoning, but that wasn't why I was texting him. He wants to meet up for drinks and wherever Nebraska lands. So we'll
do I get to come?
Yeah, absolutely.
He probably won't want to do it if I'm coming.
I want to organize a whole. We're gonna.
We bring him on as a guest. Baznet said he's gonna come on as a guest during our time. I texted him after you had him on, which was one of my favorite shows, by the way. I love that guy.
Well, yeah, I don't even know how you were going to meet your demise at the end.
Yeah, that's true. I did tell him that felt a little dark driving to work and listening to one early morning. Well, yeah, we'll get Baznet on. We'll get Sipple on. That'll be good.
One of my favorite things is that you have all these people throughout all your walks of life, and in the sort of job that we have, you meet different people that are more acquaintances, but they end up with your phone number, and we're well known for our love of this basketball team. And so I've received these texts over the last couple of weeks of like, hey, are you going to the tournament? I think I'm going to go. Like, I don't know if I'll go to any location, but if you're in OKC, let's get together. And I'm just gonna be like, this is the bar I'm going to be at most of the time. Oh, come find me. We'll have it.
And by the way, there probably is going to be one of those.
I'm planning on
at most of the time. I'm not supposed to give it out yet, but it's looking good right now. Even more good than so that's good
well.
too.
I only know a little bit, and I'm excited about what little I know. So
yes. Oh man, I'm so freaking excited, man. I do just like to talk about that. Like, that's what we should do, a podcast on Sunday and just talk about the trip once we know where we're going to do some Selection Sunday stuff afterwards.
I'm keeping my Sunday open. No, I do. It's very much going to be hey, this is where they're going. And it's like scramble, or okay, I've got this largely taken care of.
If it's OKC, it's cancel the St. Louis house, cancel a couple other things.
Yep.
If it's Buffalo, or if, God forbid, if it's Greenville, that is going to be a nightmare.
Yeah. Well, we'll worry about that.
Yeah. I need to just quit thinking about that because I'm doing what I can to control that. And there
you go.
I am. It's actually taking away from my enjoyment of this moment at this point. I am so freaking zeroed ass in. But yes, if you do come to the tournament, or if you don't, we're going to give you experience to feel like you're at the tournament because yes, as I go into promotion mode, I-80 Club Road Show will be there. Brought to you by Husker Power Products. Oh my gosh. Shout out Husker Power Products in Hastings, born in Ainsworth. And they're coming with us on the trip, Mike, and a bunch of community sponsors that have made it possible. And so if you're going to be there, like RSVP us, let us know. We'll be giving you the details of where we're going to be when we are publicly set up. And it's going to be it's going to be fun. I can't wait. And that I got to keep remembering, that's happening no matter what. The game, the tournament, that's not the bubble. I know I can't get the stress of the bubble out of me.
Yeah. We don't have to worry about
the Big Ten tournament where you always have to win it.
You're fine.
Right?
I've been checking for weeks. Nebraska has not moved off lock status on
99% they're in, I think now.
Yeah. I think it's 100. I don't think there's a margin for error.
Okay. Well, bad loss. You never know what the committee's going to do. By the way,
more bad losses.
Michigan's up by 4 against Ohio State. How do you feel about Ohio State potentially winning this game?
I would love it because
just
2 weeks ago, I referred to Jake Diebler as the worst coach in the Big Ten. And from that point forward, they've been pretty hot. And when I watched them play, I was kind of like, would I want Nebraska to play them? Sure, fine, whatever. They only play like 5 or 6 players anyways. They're kind of playing really good basketball right now. Like they're an interesting team. Now, if their Omaha resident wanted to find his way back to the state to continue his basketball career,
he would be a nice fit.
That would be fun. But I don't know that that's going to happen with how things are going. So we'll worry about that.
Yeah, we'll have
another
plenty of
time.
time to talk. And other question, rooting question. Say Nebraska wins and we're happily watching the second game tonight, which would be fun as hell to have another game on to figure out who Nebraska plays. Are we pro UCLA in that game?
I'm indifferent. I don't care. I think they're
Indifferent.
going to win. They're going to win either way.
Good
Like I
Lord.
said,
I want some of what you're having today.
I'm telling you, Jack, they either are going to be in the championship game or they are leaving tonight. That's it. There's no in between. They will not lose in the semifinals.
Wow. I mean, I'd feel more confident it's UCLA than Michigan State, but
Well, sure. I mean, UCLA is not nearly as good of a team away from the Pauley Center as they are when they, played there. I kind of want, I'm a sicko. I want Michigan State again.
I wonder if it's because the only part of the Purdue game I saw was the terrible part. And I literally have not seen the part where Nebraska was obviously having offensive success. I knew because the little score app kept lighting up at my daughter's concert. And maybe that's what I don't have right now is just the experience of that. And I've watched all these Purdue games where they've sucked too at the end of the year too.
Yeah.
Right. And should have lost to Northwestern, by the way, in the regular season.
Yep. Agreed.
So
they wouldn't even be in this spot had they had lost that game.
I hope it's just
Northwestern couldn't complete a pass at the end of it.
I hope it's just the typical
Preston Stone drop back.
That was so frustrating. Should have wore the Fitzgerald jersey. It's just probably my typical Nebraska fatalism showing through.
Yeah, well, that's okay. We're gonna get that out of you by the end of this month. You're gonna go on a ride that you'll never.
Maybe in Indianapolis.
And all of you will get to go on that ride with us here at the I-80 Club. And of course, as part of that, the Unemployed with Mike Schaefer. All right, here's the part of the show that I asked Jack to rank things blindly. This is today's topic. Big Ten tournament sites. It could be previous sites. It could be future sites. They already have stuff scheduled out until 2028.
I love it.
So
I don't even know what they all are. So
yeah. Well, do you remember everywhere they've been?
Chicago, Indianapolis, Washington, D.C., Madison Square Garden, Minneapolis. I think they're going to Vegas or have been in Vegas. I don't think they've been in Vegas. Is that all of them?
I think you named all of them. I think you did.
That was so weird. The years they were in Washington, D.C. and New York City. It's all weird.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. All right. We are going to start with Vegas, where the Big Ten tournament will be held, and not this year, but I believe it is going to be, obviously not this year, but I believe it's going to be
28.
I think it's 28.
27, 28.
When they're in Vegas. Let me get that. No, it's actually scheduled.
I think it's next year.
Yeah, it is next year.
Really? Huh. Wonder if that.
No, the women's tournament is next year. The year after is a men's tournament.
Got it. Now I've been to one Big Ten tournament, so I've been to one place in person. I've never been to any of the others, but I understand we can just do it on sort of what you would think of the scenario. And by the way, one note, I listened to Dirk do this on Tuesday. That was a great podcast, but he doesn't know you in this game very well, leaving one open like that at the end. That's a bad move. I could see it. It was like slow motion, when that was happening.
You got Kamani Friend, who's an all Big 12 player.
Yeah. I was kind of surprised to hear he was an all Big 12 player.
I don't know how he didn't put Lou at one. I was surprised by that.
Yeah, he was kind of down on
two people with their jerseys retired have been put at 4 on. I've only done that game twice. And both times the guy with a jersey. Watch out, Stu Lance.
Stu Lance. Anytime, Stu Lance. First one, 4 immediately.
4. You got to go to 4.
Okay, Vegas. So here are the positives and the negatives of Vegas. Easy to get to. Pretty. I mean, unless it's in Chicago's easy to get to too, but easy to get to. You can't drive there, so I guess that's a little bit more of a negative.
Gotta fly
in location. Lots of other stuff to do. I mean, I haven't been to Vegas for a long time either. And I'm about due to go again. Like some people just hate Vegas. I don't feel that way about it. Like I would enjoy another trip there. It's been a lot of years. So I think I like Vegas. No, another another underrated positive, no built-in home field advantage for the annoying teams. People forget that. I mean, I don't care if USC has a lot of fans there, whatever, which they won't. I think I like Vegas quite a bit. The more weather's going to be good, I'm going to.
Yeah.
Am I going to do this?
Do it.
Number one.
Yeah,
I know what all the other choices are. I think that's number one.
So I was waiting to see how you were going to kind of do this. I think it's number one. And here's something you haven't mentioned. Because it's going to occur before the NCAA tournament, the lodging will be incredibly cheap because people flock there for the tournament week, but they're not necessarily there during the week of conference championship play. Now, as someone who has been there during that time, I think we stayed. You got to pay the resort fee, but I think our nightly fee was like $44 on a Tuesday night.
Oh my gosh.
To be at like the Planet Hollywood Casino. So then you got to pay the resort fee, which, you know, some places it's like anywhere from 30 to 50 a day, but you're getting very cheap lodging. Now, you might lose money at the casino or you might spend too much on alcohol or food. That's all a real possibility.
Controllable, though.
You could go to other tournament games if you wanted to do that. There's just like no shortage of things to do.
Walkable. It's built not to have a
very
car.
Walkable. Yeah.
Man, the more I think about it, like
I'm already penciling myself in for going in 2020.
Let's bring the show. Let's get that pool with the big TV screen. They used to bring the zone up there all the time. Bring the I-80 Club, you cowards.
Circa?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Circus Swim Stadium.
I love it. Let's tentatively plan. The I-80 Club will be at the Big Ten tournament.
I just thought that through now and came to that conclusion because I kind of rolled my eyes when I first heard it. But when I talk it out, I don't know what the downside is other than it's not drivable.
You know, it's going to be wild when they have the Big Ten Player of the Year. Prager is still on the team in 2028. And he is just the best player in the conference. And number one seed Nebraska will be playing mid-morning. It'll be great.
I love it. All right. Number one's off the board. This is a good one because I never know. I rarely know the entire world of the possible what you're going to submit. And this time I probably do.
Minneapolis.
Check against it for the weather. Check for it for drivability. Best one for drivability, I would assume. I have a lot of friends, so that's a personal thing, but I have tons of friends who live in Minneapolis. Same. Like probably of any city outside of Omaha, I know more people that live in Minneapolis. Let's see now the stadium. Help me with is the stadium downtown? Is it by where the
Target Center
is? Yeah.
It is downtown. It's not far from where the baseball park is. So Target Field.
Oh, that's a great area.
Right? Yeah, there's
if you get good weather,
you've got the weather is the factor that you can't, you just don't.
But
know.
Everything else and prices shouldn't be through like too crazy. Yeah, I mean you're driving there probably. I'm giving that. Well, okay, and then and then Target Center is a good play. I've never been in the Target Center. That's
I think that's where they played a couple years ago.
Yeah, I think so. It probably is. Is that still what it's called? I never know what these places are called. That's a fairly old arena, isn't it? But
yeah, it is. 92, I think.
I assume getting there isn't going to be an issue because that's 2. I'm putting that 2.
All right, maybe you're just going to go in order, but I doubt it because here you are getting New York and Madison Square Garden, and you have to play a week before everybody else because everyone knows that Madison Square Garden is reserved for the Big East.
There's nothing that could be magical enough for that place to make up for all of the other issues that would go with that. The exorbitant prices, the travel, the difficulty in travel, which I suppose you can fly to New York City most places, but I don't know. The weather is also a crapshoot there. There's also, there's going to be cool stuff to do, though, obviously. Hold on. Maybe I need to. But it's a week. If we're factoring in the week before thing, I don't like that either.
Yeah, it's a week early. You remember that? This
is
never going to happen again, by the way. But
Yeah.
They deserve to be on the game in the sense that.
And if I'm also, I don't like. It's 5 for me. I'm sorry. And maybe I've been outside of Madison Square Garden. It was fine. It was nice, just like the sunset at the Rose Bowl. It's very pretty. It's very nice. It's a nice sunset. 5.
Okay. 5. Detroit. This is where
Detroit. I didn't think of Detroit.
Detroit is where the tournament will be played.
Oh,
Hold on here. I was thinking that Detroit was going to have the men as well, but it looks like it's only listed as a future site for the women.
We can rate it though. They'll probably consider it.
I would assume the men will play there as well. At some point.
That's tough. I wonder if I would have put that lower than New York City. Now that I'm thinking about it, like I assume it won't be quite as expensive, but who knows for sure. The travel is similar, right, to New York City. I mean, it's a little shorter, but the travel is similar. You've got an annoying home fan base is built in. That's a negative. I've never been to Detroit, so I don't know, about it as a, kind of an entertainment district and where the stadium is and stuff.
I don't know where the Auburn Palace. The
Palace of Auburn Hills.
Yeah, I don't know where that actually is at. I don't know if they would put you at Joe. Would they put you at Joe Louis Arena where the Red Wings play? I'm not sure because that's downtown. That's right next to Comerica, which I've been to. I've spent very little time over there.
Little Caesars is primary venue.
Yeah,
where they do they do NCAA tournament there.
Right. Detroit is sort of exactly as you build it in your mind would be how I would describe it.
Okay.
Which isn't to really be a super strong selling point, I assume.
You know what? I probably would actually put that. I can't now, but I'll put it 4. I probably would put that 5.
Detroit's at 4.
I just can't imagine going. I don't think I would ever want to go.
I think you would probably have only changed one thing about this list. The last one that you will get is Chicago, which is where it is played most routinely.
And there is one glaring problem with Chicago, having been there, and that is if you're staying downtown, getting to and from the arena. There's not an easy way to take the trains or a quick way to take the trains. You don't want to drive if you probably won't have a car there. It was Ubers, which was fine.
Adds up
early. It adds up a lot, and it was fine for the early, like the Rutgers game when there was nobody there on Thursday night. We got one. In fact, there was a video of my son and I celebrating in the back of an Uber after Nebraska beat Rutgers. I should pull up again. But so that one's a bummer. But ease of getting there, drive or fly. We drove there when we went. Drive or fly there. Good places to stay in downtown Chicago for sure. A lot to do there. Good food down there as well. So that's a positive. Yeah, that probably lands right at 3 for me. But man, I can't emphasize. And there's just not much around the arena itself. That's the other thing.
Yeah, I think that's a big detractor for it. The more you think about it, the more obvious it is that Vegas is such a great spot for this tournament. And frankly, I'm going to make this pitch. Given that the Pac-12 doesn't really exist anymore, now there's the fake Pac-12. I think the Big Ten should seize the opportunity to turn Vegas into its tournament city. Just go there for it. Like I don't see that as a bad idea. You are going to get a bunch of Midwestern folks who are going to want to go out to Vegas, have a reason to watch their basketball team, gamble at the penny slots, go and see the robotic version of Siegfried and Roy, and they'll have a great time. Like I don't think part of it for me, I don't think anyone's like, oh, I really want to go to Indy for the Big Ten tournament. I really want to go to Chicago for the Big Ten tournament. You go because your team is playing and that's the city where it's at, but it's not a destination. It's not a particularly enjoyable thing. No part of me has ever been like, oh, I really want to go to the United Center. I already think Chicago is one of the most overrated cities in America to begin with.
Ooh.
And then you take me out of an area of Chicago that is at least enjoyable and put me somewhere that isn't. Like in Chicago's whatever. Indianapolis only exists to have events at Lucas Oil Field. Otherwise, it barely is a city at all. It's Omaha, except in Indiana, but it has the Pacers and the Colts. And then, Minneapolis is fine. It's also going to be 30 some degrees. And if you wanted to drive it and you get hit by a March snowstorm, or whatever. So Vegas makes a ton of sense. I think you could make that a bit of a destination hub for people. Now, you're going to get the old money Big Ten crybabies about how this needs to be in Chicago and driving.
Also, I kind of like that about it too.
Yeah. No, I mean, I get that, but give me Vegas.
Yeah.
Vegas they need a new one with the Pac-12 moving on.
Now I'm excited. Where's next year then? If
next
Vegas
year, I had this pulled up.
And by the way, I kept waiting for, while you looked that up, I was waiting for Indianapolis, which I would have put above Chicago, because just from what everyone who I talked to in Chicago was like, you got to go when it's in Indianapolis. It's a lot better when it's in Indianapolis. So
yeah, it's in Indianapolis, March 10th through the 14th.
Is that next year?
2027. Yep.
Okay, and maybe I'll do one there. I would have put Indianapolis after, that would have been third after Minneapolis, I think.
Okay. All right.
I think the overall ranking would go, Vegas, Minneapolis, Indianapolis, and then I probably would have Washington, D.C. above. Not that they're going to do it there again, but I would probably have Washington, D.C. above Detroit and New York City.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because it feels easier to get to. And I've lived there, so actually I know, and for a semester, so I know that one. But what about, real quick, Mike, and I know you want to move on, but what about Denver? What about you start to think of other places that it could be what about LA?
I think Los Angeles would be interesting.
What about Seattle?
Seattle or Portland, I would have interest in just because I love the Pacific Northwest. The Denver, there's no real connection. I know there isn't for Vegas either, but they've had the Big Ten media days and stuff there. So that's part of why I think that could be sort of a hub, because it's East meets West, or Midwest meets West, or whatever you want to call it. Is there anything else? Do we want to just put it in Pittsburgh to appease Penn State at some point? Cleveland, do you want to go to Gund Arena, or
Des Moines?
What used to be Gund Arena?
Let's put it in Des Moines.
I genuinely think people around here would treat it like a massive event if the Big Ten tournament came to Omaha.
Oh my gosh.
But I don't know that there's really a reason to do that.
If when they do a Big Ten volleyball tournament, I imagine that'll go in Omaha.
Oh yeah.
I'd be shocked if they don't put that in Omaha.
Should go there.
That'd be stupid not to. Yeah. Omaha would be amazing. Man, that'd be great. Wow. They'll never do it.
There would be a lot of
They're
excited
scared
people.
of Nebraska. Scared of Nebraska basketball.
All right. 3 things that are annoying Jack Mitchell this week. Now, I want to jump in and just say one thing that popped up for me yesterday. I want my own little grievance here. Be curious to how you feel about this. I would like if, instead of having to stand in line to get something from the pharmacy, that you were given a code. And it's like when you have to go get a propane tank from Blue Rhino and they have those cages, and you put in a special code that your receipt gives you, and it pops open the cage, and then you get your tank and you put the other tank away. I would like if, instead of having to talk to the pharmacist about my amoxicillin, of which I have no questions, that there is just a code sent to me by email or on my phone, and I go punch in the code, and then it opens up some cage where only I would be able to get my medication, because I don't want to stand in line behind someone who needs full explanation as to how Tylenol works. There is no more annoying line to me than being at the pharmacy and you're the second person back and it's going to be a 25-minute thing before you can get up there. It is unbelievably slow, and it is 2026. We have the capability of speeding this up, and I would like to see that happen.
As someone who has more prescription drugs than I would hope, I have one hack on pharmacies. Don't go to the busy drive. Don't go to the obvious places. There are places that have no waits ever. that
I don't
exist.
even do the drive-through thing. Like that's not even it.
Oh yeah.
It's just
Well, it happens inside of those places too.
yeah.
though.
That's the yeah.
I mean, don't go to your national big box pharmacist, basically, is what I would say. And I've learned this finally. Go to your local grocery store.
Okay.
Little hack. Go to your local.
Okay.
Plus, they often tend to have things that other places don't. If you're looking for stuff difficult to get, I'm really getting deep into my pharmacological life. But in any case, yes, I agree with that one. So I'm going to go in a different order than I planned to because you gave me a segue into mine by mentioning the propane lockers, which, by the way, is an amazing. Like that is the opposite. We need to do this things that we love every once in a while. The first time that Home Depot has that in Lincoln. And the first time I learned of that, which now I believe I've never got this to work yet, but I believe you can go online and get a code.
Yep.
And buy it that way. Someone told me that. Maybe it was you. That's just an all-star way.
The place I go now just has an outdoor kiosk that's like takes 10 seconds to get everything you want and you're in and out.
I have thought about setting up a business that it's just a propane locker like that, but it's not. It's in the middle of it's just in a great location, which I swear that would do bank.
Yeah.
It would make more money than all these car washes that are setting up because it'd have lower overhead.
The new I-80 Club's new business venture is propane lockers.
Seriously, just hire a teenager there all summer, and you go online, you get a code, and they're there. If there's something that goes wrong, I'm telling you, because if I had the opportunity to had one closer to my house, I would love it. But it's just crazy that you brought that up because my thing that I get annoyed by is myself during grilling season.
Oh,
because, and I am a huge proponent of grilling. I'm very excited about the season where it becomes more comfortable. I've got a pork shoulder up on my pellet smoker right now. Not using propane on that one, but I thought I had this great plan, Mike, because it would never fail. I'm having somebody over. We're having people over. We're going to grill out and, ready to go. All right. Jack's going to go put the steaks on. So I'll be out here having a couple beers while I do. And I turn it on and I'm ready, excited for that moment to get that thing up hot enough. And I'm by myself by the grill and, oh, it's just great. Got my phone out to listen to a baseball game. And then you lift up that propane tank. You're like, what's not working? Oh, no. I go through that like almost, it seems like monthly, which seems impossible, but I do.
Yeah.
I have that moment monthly. I have never had one of these run out at a time where it just died out when my food was done. Like you're pulling into the gas station with your car right when you hit empty. I've never had, first of all, that's my dream to do that.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
To go low enough in the propane, but it never happens that way. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna game the system. I'm gonna buy a second propane tank. That's what I'm gonna do. And do you know what I do, Mike? I could remedy this an hour from now. What I've done is I just one time I ran out and I'm like, there it is. I got my spare, filled it up.
I know what you did.
Filled it in, left the other one sitting there. Didn't ever fill it up. My one gets empty. And then what do? I'm like, I don't want to pay for two fills, right? I'm just going to take the one. It'll work now. Screw the future. And I've now got two tanks running a one tank system. It hasn't changed anything. What am I doing? Like, what is that part? What is that lack of discipline that I have to one time put down the extra $20 to care? It's because I'm always in a hurry. The reason is I'm always in a freaking hurry. I'm always pissed off. There's usually people at our house waiting to eat. I'm like, man. I'm just getting the one. I'm getting out of there.
Maybe instead of the locker system, we need a mobile propane delivery system that when you run out, you're just, you're hitting the button and I'm showing up with my mobile propane truck and we're swapping a tank in, swapping
even
one
better,
out.
filling it up.
Maybe you're having to pay a little extra. Like, you go to the store, you're paying $19.99. Maybe we're charging $29.99, but you don't have to leave your house. You don't have to go anywhere. We're showing up with propane, swapping it in, swapping you out.
If I can get that in 10 minutes, Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Like, I don't know what I wouldn't pay for that.
So
I drive around. I get that. I just drive around on Friday nights in the summer, Saturday nights in the summer, like the ice cream truck.
yeah, you have
Like,
a propane jingle.
ring a bell. And all the middle-aged
Propane
men,
man.
all
It's a propane
the
man.
middle-aged men come out. Ah,
you
everyone, come
imagine?
out! It's the propane tank man. Get all the tanks. We're gonna get new ones.
Eddie Murphy doing a propane man bit. Now that would be quite something instead of the ice cream man. So
Yes,
I think we might have something here. One might even say we're cooking with gas.
the propane market has not optimized as much as it should have. I mean, it could be better.
It takes people like us to have these sort of ideas to bring to them.
Seriously, like
I have been in the place that you were at, but here's how bad it is for me. I have 3 tanks.
3.
I have 3 propane.
Is there a full one not attached to your grill as we speak currently?
There is currently.
Then you win. You've done it then.
Yeah, but I've been in the situation where I've run out of all 3 because so here's what it was. I had when I was living in Lincoln, I had the Blackstone right off the it was on the deck, and then down below in the walkout area was the grill. And so I had a propane tank for each one of those. And then I was like, all right, I need to have a third one. So if one runs out, I can just swap that in. I always have one just, ready to go at any point in time because the grill tank wasn't getting used as much as a Blackstone tank. And then inevitably, like you, I just got to the point where I didn't get it done. And then I was out of propane entirely while trying to make steaks. And that is the most frustrating experience imaginable.
Yeah,
and so
100%.
He's actually one of our members of the Patreon and a Nebraska media member at that, Dave Fight. He recommended to me this gauge that I use for the Blackstone that allows me to sort of see kind of where the propane is at all times. So I have an indication as to when the Blackstone might run out. However, the problem with that gauge is when it stops working, you don't really know. And so it started telling me that it was empty all the time when I had a relatively full tank. So I think the gauge just sort of stopped working.
My mom's got one of those.
Several years. It was great.
She got hers hooked. Her grill has that. It hooks onto it, and the weight.
Yeah. The Weber grill has that. So I never needed it for that.
But
the Blackstone just sits there. That's where I'm at.
I'm gonna pivot on my number 2 now that you mentioned the Blackstone. Okay, this is where we're gonna part ways here. I got in on I wanted to, whenever something gets trendy in the grilling world, I really want it. Remember the big green egg era?
Sure.
That was, and then about 3-4 years ago, the Blackstone, everybody was talking about the Blackstones. And I talked about how I want to, and I got one. This is a stupid thing to complain about. I mean, I got one for Father's Day. It was great. So I'm very excited to have it. Or I was very excited to have it. And by the way, the food, it's not the food I meant. The burgers were great on it. Doing the whole breakfast on there on a fall morning is maybe my favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
The cleaning on that thing, though,
it's not that bad.
It's, Mike, it is. And you mess it up once or you don't do it right once. And I don't even want to go near that thing now. I probably need to, I need to do some serious work on it. And I don't even want to. And it's just sad. Whole experience was not what I signed up for.
It's really not that bad.
It's got to be so level with the oil or the grease, and I don't know.
Yeah, I think people get a little bit oh, my Blackstone needs to look like this professional one.
Yeah, it looks like rusty. It's not rust.
Well, you don't want rust. Well, yeah,
it's not rust. It's like what happens to a cast iron frying pan, but it looks kind of red. It looks like rust. Yeah. I don't know. The experience is just not. I don't like the experience. I like the food. I don't like the maintenance.
I don't mind it. I really don't. You heat it back up slightly. You chip off what you need to chip off. You get some water.
Do you do it after you eat? Do you do it after you eat or before you eat? The cleaner. Okay. See, and after I eat, I'm ready to relax. It's laying around time.
No, I get that. I get that.
So the whole Blackstone experience has just been the level of my expectations and excitement for that compared to the actual experience hasn't added up. That's been.
I remain enthusiastic. If anything, I am upset at myself that I have not found enough time to utilize the Blackstone, because as I have learned, when you have a 2-year-old, the ability to cook over a period of time is just thrown out the window. Like, you need to be able to provide food within the immediate seconds of which they are screaming for food. 2 minutes earlier, couldn't have been more excited to have Spider-Man and his stupid friends on the television and is playing with, some sort of child's game. 2 minutes later, he's demanding a juice box and every food morsel in the house, and he wants it now.
Throw some dino nuggets in the microwave and make yourself something on the Blackstone.
Yeah, so it's basically like my experience with the Blackstone was at its apex when it was just Shelby and I, and that's not to say that Hudson has ruined the Blackstone, but it's harder to like pull it all off in the way that you want.
I don't even have kids that take time, and I still don't want to do it. It's just it's a bummer.
I hope you find your way back to it, because as you said,
I'll try.
If
I gotta
clean
else. It though. I gotta do it. I gotta get into it. Get it. I'm like embarrassed that it got the way that it is. There's some shame involved in it. It's all of that. Now I will say this: I got a pellet grill last year, and where was that all my life? I heard people talk about that, and I was like, I was wrong.
I have never ventured down that path. I think I had in the future, that might be something. The next thing for me is I want a pizza oven. That's the
why? Okay, I don't get that.
Yeah, I just want to make pizza at home.
What about your oven?
We do that.
You have an oven, yes?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I want to do a little bit. It just cooks differently. The heat of it's going to be different.
Listen, I wouldn't say no to one, but that's not something I will ever affirmatively try to get.
Understandable.
I just don't get it, but whatever. Okay. I'm sure it's cool. I'm sure it's fine, but I'd just probably put it in the oven. All right. We're late.
Here, I was going to offer to come over and clean your Blackstone for you.
Oh, please do.
You stand outside and feed me beers. I'll clean it.
Absolutely. Done.
It won't be that bad. Done. Now, I am worried if you let it go and it has to be sanded down. Like, that's not something
I don't know what has to happen. I don't even want to Google it because I don't know.
But I'll take a look the next time I'm over.
And then let's see. I don't know. Should I do my sports one? It's not that great. I'm just going to do a non-sports one here. It's kind of related to that. Every year, I think I hate February. I hate the month of February, and I'm so excited when it's February 28th. And I'm like, don't hit the door. Let the door hit you in the ass, February. And here's March. The promise of March, right? Great sports month, which it has been. Great sports month. Baseball is starting. Spring training is going on. But I always calculate in my head that the weather is going to be different than it is. I have an imaginary March climate that I create every damn year, and it never happens. And I don't know when I'll learn. Mike, March in Lincoln sucks. The weather sucks. It is nice occasionally. Yes. Is it going to be 80 next week? Yeah. For 1 or 2 days. And it's almost worse because your expectation is at a different place. And it's just like, get freaking nice 4 days in a row. Find a damn way. Consistency. Like, figure it out, March. And it's on me. I admit, it's the same every damn year, Mike. But every year I think this is the year. This is the year we are. March 1st is spring. And, and I've had a history of being overly optimistic about the weather. That's gotten me in trouble. People may know. And so this is who I am. I will always overrate March weather coming into March. And then the weather itself will just be so I went outside this morning, Mike. I ran to the grocery store. It was so blasted cold, and it is 46 outside. It's 46. I was miserable. It was so cold and so freaking windy. Yeah. I hated it. It's worse than January in some ways.
Okay. I don't know what happened there. I completely got taken out of StreamYard's
I didn't even notice it. I kept talking and talking. Kind of like Dirk did.
You were still talking and then you disappeared and then I disappeared. And so
okay, well I hope that worked. Now you're glitching.
Come back. I'm going to end the show because I don't know what's going on here. But Great show as always with Jack. Be sure to check out the content this weekend. I-80 Club. They'll have a coffee show Saturday.
Yes, sir.
Coffee
Post game
show Saturday.
tonight. Post game tonight
Post-game
first.
tonight. Yep. And then we are going to have, I'm sure, content on Sunday. We will put that all together. We will release all the information you need to know.
Real quick, Saturday, I forgot, is a members only show. We're moving coffee to Sunday again for a pre-selection show coffee.
Excellent.
In the late morning. So that's it. Right. And then post-game selection show. Okay. All right. Thanks, guys.
That's everything we got for you. Thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend. We will talk to you when Nebraska knows its NCAA tournament fate.